When Eric had his accident in 2007, it was only our third race into the season, so it was at a really great time, a fun, happy time in our race team. We had 4 teams. You know, our season had just started the month before in February. I had just debuted and come out, and we were just having a ball. I mean, we had our 4 race teams, but we were a family. I mean, all of us were buddies, and you know, we just had a lot of fun. And it's sad how it all happened, but I look back and I'm so glad we had that short amount of time before. I mean, Eric was a huge part in my learning to race these cars. I tested just as much in his car as I did in my dad's car. But it was a really tough time. Not, you know, racing aside, it was our friend that we lost, and it was just crushing everybody into his team, and to be there and go through that.
This team has faced an awful lot of tough times, and the toughest of all, of course, was the loss of Eric Medlin. And getting through that was a lot tougher than having problems with your race car, or having, you know, problems with your budget, or problems with anything. When you lose someone who's part of you, it takes a lot out of you, and you know, and our teams certainly suffered from that, emotionally as well as physically.
We were in the hospital with Eric for 5 days, and then we lost him. I flew home with my family. I walked into the shop and I broke down crying. All the trophies had no meaning because there was no future. Well, I could stick around and I might lose my life in a car crash. But what about my children? Ashley was out there, Brittany, Courtney, my son-in-law Robert, and Bernstein's kid, Brandon, and every other kid you could think of that had a dream to drive a race car. Were we just lucky? No, things were changing. And it wasn't just a car going fast. It was something that started happening within the chassis, and the horsepower, the torque of the motor, the G-force. It was called harmonics and oscillation. Oscillation, where something creates such a vibration, like a teeter-totter, that it creates such a vibration. Harmonics takes over and it shatters. Oh, this has got to stop. And I thought, it's over. Can't go back to winning. If anything brought Lori and I closer together was the fact that she said, we can't go on. What are we going to do? Retire someday and sit on a beach in Lake Tahoe, or over here, you know, at our home at the lake, and just enjoy life and just wait for this to happen again? I used to joke on our TV show on A&E, the monster's out there. The monster jumped up in the front seat with Eric, and the monster took his life. The monster jumped up in the front seat with me, and it almost got me. And at the end of the day, like my attorney said, you don't want to get hurt? Don't get in it. Don't get in that fuel funny car, and you won't get hurt. But this is all we know. It's all. But I always told my children, this race car is a best friend. You think your boyfriend's your best friend? You think that? No, your best friend is this race car. Because when you're out there at the end of that quarter mile at over 300 miles an hour and it flies apart on fire, the only thing you got is this car to protect you. The team's on the starting line. The only thing you got is this car to protect you. And you better know it by heart. You better be able to drive this car blindfolded, because there'll be so much smoke you can't see. You better know how to activate things to protect you, and how to get out of that car, and how to get it stopped, or the fire will get you. And I have burns on my hands and feet to prove it. It's the only friend you got. I had to go back to my girls and I cried. I said, I was wrong. We lost Eric and I was wrong, everything I told you. It didn't protect him. And Ashley was like, she didn't know where to go. You know, Ashley was going to quit. It was her first season as a pro. I said to Ashley, if you quit now, everyone would understand. If you want to quit, Eric's gone, you can quit. Her first season with Castrol. And you're a woman. And she said, Dad, the only job I've ever had is driving for Castrol in these hot rods with you. I never even worked at McDonald's. Everybody worked at McDonald's sometime. She said, all the friends that I have, this is Ashley talking, all my friends are at the racetrack. If I come home, I have no real friends. They're all out there. She grew up with them at the racetracks. And she said, if I walk away from Eric now, that he gave his life doing what he loves to do, she said, and then I would have no purpose in life. He gave his life for what he loved. We need to go on and build better race cars. We need to go on, Dad, and make something out of his name. And I believe that's why she still does it. I believe she could have, when she had offers to go to Hollywood, she could have made movies, she could produce movies. Kid's very talented. I think she drives that race car. To see that little girl drive that car, let me tell you something. I saw her as a baby on a tricycle, and she'd come down on a tricycle, Daddy, Daddy, and she'd fall over in them little old eyes, she'd cry, and I'd pick her up. It's okay, baby, get back on that tricycle. I looked through that window of that fire-breathing 8,000 horsepower, Castrol GTX Ford Mustang, and I looked through that window and it's belching fire, and you see those little bitty eyes, and it terrifies me, It terrifies me, because what if I hurt her? What if I tear one of her limbs off? Now I can't get her out of it. She's driven to do what she does, and now I can't stop her. Now I have no say. She's 26 years old now, 27. She said, Dad, Eric did it. I'm going to do it. But it scares me to death. I have puked behind the grandstands, sick over her. I've stood in front of her at Indy when she won Indy and said, you're going to be okay. And she said, Dad, the only one falling apart's you. Get out of the way. Let me go. Best kid in the world. All my kids. Adria was there for me when I was down, holding my hand all night. When I laid there in the hospital bed and they had to put a diaper on me. I was so screwed up. My family was there, Lori, Brittany, and Courtney all night. All the people taking care of me. Let me tell you something. I stood drunk on Saturday night before the Dallas race. And I was thinking about Eric and I got emotional, and I had a little fight with God. I said, Lord, how could you do this? How could you take this young, beautiful kid? He was like my son. How could you do this? Why didn't you take an old, worthless, old, wore-out old man like me? Why would you do this and take him? And you just don't talk to me. All the stuff they teach us in the church, all the stuff, you're making no sense. Show me a sign. Dinsmore was there with me. Dinsy's, come on home, you're just drunk. Let's go to bed. We had designated drivers that would take us to the hotel. Nah, Dinsy, this makes no sense. Come on, yeah, the Lord won't even talk, will he? Show me a sign. I was having a bad night. The next day, second round, at 1,000 foot, the good Lord showed me the sign. He reached down with a big old hammer and crushed me with a big hammer. Never lose the faith of the Lord, because he could have taken me out. And I remember when they were loading me in the helicopter, I was saying to him, you finally spoke to me, because I knew the night before I was rude. I ain't a real religious guy, but I really am, okay? But I've done every sin, everything bad you could do, this side of being a criminal, okay? Stuff I'm still ashamed of. Fights I'd been in, the party life I lived. I still delivered, but the wake-up call in that hospital, I'm getting a second chance. The good Lord took Eric for reasons. He left me behind. There must be something to do, and I went around for days trying to figure out what the Lord wanted. Where are you taking me? You know what I mean? I can't preach the gospel. I can't save kids in Africa. I can't save a little. What do you want me for? And the only thing that's come out of all this is safety. I got with NHRA, I got with Ford Motor Company, their technicians, their engineers. I went to Castrol and their engineers. We started talking, what can we do? And we all got together, and the new car was unveiled a year later. And the Wilkerson kid crashed at Memphis, and his dad got down there and said, oh my God, he thought his kid, he had lost him. And he said, I want to thank John Forrest and Ford and even Murph McKinney, one of the early chassis builders with us that helped develop that car. Thank you for saving my kid. Right there I knew we did something, but that was only the start.
I was standing behind Daniel Wilkerson's car when it left the starting line in Memphis. I saw both the wheels come off, and I saw that car hit the guardrail, and my heart went right to the floor. I thought, oh my goodness, this isn't going to be good. And a few minutes later, I saw him get out of the car. I thought, I could not believe this. I said, well, he's got to be delirious, had to have hit his head. And of course, the report was he's fine. 2 cars later, his dad's car was on the starting line, staged and ready to go, and I looked at and Daniel was standing behind his dad's car, watching it leave the starting line. Well, several races later, we were in Richmond, and Daniel's mother came up. And if you could capture her facial expressions when she was trying to convey to me her appreciation, that says it all. When a mother realizes that her son is still there because of whatever safety measures you might have produced for the race car, that's all the reward I ever need.
Because we have 160,000 square foot in Indy called the Eric Medlin Project that will build better race cars, better motors, more safety stuff, and with the greatest oil in the world in it, Castrol GTX, because they help pay those bills. And that was our reason, that was our cause to move ahead. And that's where I'm going. So, Lord, you gave me a second chance. I'm gonna kiss my daughters every day, and my wife, even when she doesn't want it. And they all say, you're getting so mushy. What are you doing? Always wanting to kiss us when you go by. Because I said to the Lord, if I live through this, understand the doctors told me the first night, he ain't gonna make it through the night. He's bleeding out of 6 holes in his body. They brought in 3 surgeons, worked on me for 8 hours because I was gonna bleed to death if they didn't put me back together. But it was 6 months of, man, I was hitting it, rehab, it was tough. It was painful, I couldn't even hold my head up. They had me down, you'd see me walking, you gotta hold your head up. I used to get so mad I didn't have the strength. I was in bed for a couple of months and I lost everything. I've been in the gym for 2 years and not a drop of alcohol. Even when someone says, well, at least have a glass of wine, and they set it in front of me, I fake it. I don't drink it. Because I was there, I drank enough alcohol for 25 years I drank. The next 25, I got a job, I got a mission. And I don't have time to party or play. I'm gonna work 7 days a week and make sure I don't lose one of my kids or try not to lose anybody else's.
And I got to thinking about how the other drivers had children and the importance and the difference that we could make for those people. I don't think you could have any bigger driver than that. They talk about the heart of, the heart of a wheel. Well, the heart of a human being to care enough for someone else is probably the biggest heart you can get. Eric had that. We're going to make sure that that goes on. That's what motivated me to come back and keep going, to preserve what he had already had started in his relationships. I can make a difference with that if I choose to continue to go on. And I didn't think I could live with myself to just fold the tent and go out and go fishing and quit. Eric would never quit. We're not going to quit.
Everybody misses Eric, but we can say because of Eric, we've done some really great things and saved my father's life and other lives as well. And so I don't think many people can say that they'll leave a legacy like that.
NHRA, they have lots of safety measures in place, and they seem to be, up to par with the help of Ford Motor Company and John Medlin and some other great engineers. John started the Eric Medlin Project, and his total focus was on driver safety and making the car safe.
one of the things that drove me to continue on with this project is we were taking Eric's personal effects out of the lounge, and there was we found a file folder, and in this file folder he had saved one of the handouts for the Racer for Christ meetings, and it was a verse that he had saved from Paul when I believe he told the church in Corinth. He said, "I have run the race and I have finished well." And that was the only piece of paper in that folder. Eric had no idea what was about to happen to him several months after that, but he had saved that. And I believe that that was a message to all of us, that no matter what we do here, if we can do something for someone else, we've done the greatest thing you could do for each other as we are here on this earth. So as I sat there and thought about what to do, I imagined the time when I would walk through that door into that heavenly kingdom. And when I saw Eric, I wouldn't be able to stand him looking at me and say, "What happened, Dad? What happened? Why didn't you continue on?" I wanted to get there and have him say, look me in the eye, shake my hand and said, "Good job, Dad. Way to go."
Eric's legacy is that he was loved by the fans. He loved children. He never even realized that he was becoming a superstar because it didn't matter to him. He loved the people, the kids. He loved the fast hot rods. But also, he saved my life. And on top of that, he opened the door to the future, that in the 50 years of NHRA racing, it was time for the next 50 years of NHRA that we had to create race cars that were still fast, that were still affordable, that were still lightweight so they could win, but it would save your life at the end of the day. When I lost Eric Medlin, the change started. We'll never realize the impact of what he's done because it changed the mindset that racing is about winning. Yeah, and nobody focused on safety, only to a small degree.
Well, after Eric's accident, we took a step backward and began to understand that we really didn't have a good comprehension of the potential dangers that a particular type of accident could do to the driver in one of these race cars. John had flipped his over 32 times. He'd been on fire probably twice that many times, and he basically escaped without a scratch every single time. So although I think our cars, industry standard-wise, were the finest constructed, safest cars in the industry, and we had never seen a tire failure like occurred on Eric's car. And I think in the beginning, right after that Eric's accident, we were convinced that same type of failure could occur again.